The following video will contain spoilers for all Kingdom Hearts games, including Kingdom Hearts 3 and the Remind DLC. Stay sharp out there. What's next for Kingdom Hearts? This is a question that's appeared so many times throughout the series' 20 plus years of activity, one that never seems fully answered, even as the games have continued to roll out time and time again. For every new installment, mainline or spin-off alike, the Kingdom Hearts universe continues to expand, building its massive scale higher and higher. And after every title, we're left with so many questions, and figuring out what's next always seems to come up. With Kingdom Hearts 3 releasing more than 5 years ago, the wait for more feels lengthy, but that 2022 announcement trailer for that next huge journey really did catch many people off guard. However, we're in a different world now. Kingdom Hearts 4 might be announced, but we're still asking endless questions about what exactly we'll be experiencing. It's natural to want to make sense of it all, so in an effort to do just that, I've gotten several talented Kingdom Hearts loving friends together to think this whole thing over, and maybe we'll be able to understand just what we might see in Kingdom Hearts 4.
To me, it really hasn't been that long to feel like Kingdom Hearts is missed. Square has been generous by sprinkling Kingdom Hearts everywhere in the last few years. Stuff like the Kingdom Hearts PC ports, Missing Link, Union Cross, and Dark Road, Sora joining Smash Brothers. So it really doesn't feel like it's been that long. But on the other hand, it really has been 4 years since Melody of Memory dropped, and to be honest, this past year has been a little frustrating in terms of receiving anything related to the franchise. So we're really in the genesis of a proverbial boiling point for fans, but I'm still excited for this franchise. I still love it, and I am actively looking forward to Kingdom Hearts 4.
If you asked any fan of the series, there's a strong chance that they'll immediately recall just how big of a deal Kingdom Hearts 2 was back in 2005. The original Kingdom Hearts had become a fast success on its own, but it had also made a clear move to show that there was a lot more on the way, from Pluto's letter from King Mickey to the dual Keyblade wielder in the game's secret movie. Chain of Memories' remarkably involved story only added fuel to that fire, introducing mysterious new characters and worlds that would eventually become familiarities. The anticipation of Kingdom Hearts 2 almost feels like a moment in and of itself. This game gathered and cultivated a collective of adolescents who fell in love with this anime aesthetic adventure and the powerful uplifting messages that it never concealed. We all wanted to know where Sora was going to go next. We all wanted to play Kingdom Hearts 2. Because the Kingdom Hearts game timeline is an odd beast, and I don't mean the canonical timeline of the story. I mean the way the games have actually released. The anticipation toward this entire series has been one built on teasing the audience with what's next. From post-game cinematics to vague official trailers, there never seems to be a clear end in sight with Kingdom Hearts, for better or worse. Many people have gone so far to argue that Kingdom Hearts 3 on the whole was less about closing out the Darkseeker saga and more about setting up the Lost Master arc. I can't really argue against that despite my own affinity for Kingdom Hearts 3, because the upward construction of Luxu and the Union Cross cast really did grab curious players' eyes, even as Xehanort was clashing with Sora center stage. I don't think the writing team was unaware of this, but it does create this strange crossover, dividing the player's attention between Xehanort's narrative and whatever is going to happen in Kingdom Hearts 4. But in typical fashion for the series, the way Kingdom Hearts 3 ended made KH4 inevitable. I don't think anyone can deny that. In an effort to save everyone, Sora traded his own existence away, hurling himself far beyond his world and into a place that feels incredibly alien. The Remind DLC and Melody of Memory only made this clearer, with Kairi, Riku, and the rest of the cast frantically attempting to trace Sora's being across the universe and get our boy back home. Destiny Islands, the very place where Sora's journey began all those years ago, became his own land of departure once again. Nostalgia goggles don't apply here. This scene was hard to watch. Those heartstrings were tugged with such intent as Sora slowly faded away as he sat with Kairi on Destiny Islands, leaving behind all the lives he saved. While everyone else is laughing and smiling in celebration of Xehanort's defeat, Kairi is shedding tears seeing Sora vanish. There's a running joke amongst a section of fans that Tetsuya Nomura has this deliberate desire to keep Sora and Kairi from being together. But this says more about the way this series and its installments link together than anything else. There's always something in the future, even if the present moment doesn't get much chance to really settle in. While it pales in comparison to the anticipation of Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 4 does have plenty to look forward to. The door is wide open for whatever grander vision the developers are crafting, but even with that potential, one constantly compared to the past successes of the series, it feels limitless. Fans who've stuck around are still aching to see Sora return home, but not before experiencing something that, for the first time in a long time, feels totally new.
Controversial as it might sound to some Kingdom Hearts fans out there, I think Kingdom Hearts right now is at a point where it can truly thrive. I think when Kingdom Hearts came out, it had a lot of restrictions that it had to put on itself, especially when it came to anything like Disney or Final Fantasy related. But now that the narrative is done with its first arc and we're moving on to the Lost Masters arc, and we have worlds like Quadratum that exist, I think this is truly where we can see the series shine. Not that I didn't love the series or its story before, but this has me more excited because this is all new to us. This is a brand new realm. We truly have no idea what's going to be happening, and honestly, I'm really excited. I can't wait to see where it goes.
Digging into an old copy of Game Informer that I owned, I remember this weird little news blurb about a mashup of Disney and Final Fantasy in the works for game systems. It's still weird, especially with this image, but as much as some fans believe that the original Kingdom Hearts lore is what's powering the series at this point, I can't picture Kingdom Hearts without that Disney flair in tow. These various universes fit nicely into the world-hopping experiences that the series championed from Square One, and that strange combination feels so much more natural now than it was back in 2002. That sense of discovery, of experiencing stories from foreign spaces, it's in the blood of the series. Even with the original KH story becoming so iconic in its own right, Disney is still a part of the series' identity. Of course, Kingdom Hearts 3 had its share of awkward, unnatural Disney presentation. There were worlds that, while offering a nice bit of fan service for those familiar with these newer Disney properties, didn't make Sora, Donald, and Goofy feel integral to their presentation. The Tangled and Frozen worlds in particular had the throwbacks to their films, but our three favorite half-pints were reserved to the sidelines, while key movie moments ran almost cut and paste from their film counterparts. At the same time, however, there were worlds in KH3 that actually made Sora's input feel important. These moments succeed because Sora's presence in these locales felt distinct and impactful. His actions changed the stories, separating them from the films and providing them with a different kind of value. And if the entire goal of Sora's involvement is to have unique perspectives that the Disney worlds can't provide on their own, then having him be that meaningful addition to their narratives and presentation is definitely a priority to consider. It's something that many are hoping is refined into whatever worlds appear in Kingdom Hearts 4. The ripest fruit to pick, to no one's surprise, is the Marvel and Star Wars brands, which have so much extensive lore and so many stories to develop that it'd be a total missed opportunity if the devs don't at least approach some of them for representation in Kingdom Hearts. Sora, Donald, and Goofy could easily relate to the heroes and anti-heroes from each locale, which would build up the themes and ideas of the characters. On quantity of options from these two major properties alone, the sky's the limit, and from what we're seeing, it looks like Disney is well aware of the potential as well. That being said, Disney is one of, if not the biggest, entertainment conglomerates of all time. And yes, I'm well aware of the dissonance in theorizing which of the many properties they've engulfed should appear in the next Kingdom Hearts game. The last few decades of their media acquisitions have been pretty eye-opening to that fact. But as I've said in the past, Kingdom Hearts, for all of the corporate tendrils that have ensnared it, still feels like a pet project. The original characters created specifically for this series add bits and pieces to a story that simply couldn't exist without them, at least not to their full potential anyway. There are plenty of odd moments in Kingdom Hearts, but they're a part of the game's DNA. All the heavy baggage tossed our way feels lighter with moments like these, letting us laugh and smile, even through the darkest and most heartless of moments. It says a lot that a series with borderline unbreakable ties to its corporate overlords can still capture the hearts of its fans and supporters, but Kingdom Hearts has always been about letting its own heart shine through. Even with the stakes raised, I highly doubt that trend will die with Kingdom Hearts 4. As this new story kicks into high gear, there is a touch of melancholy in saying goodbye to those that came before. I will say that it's kind of impressive that Xehanort, a character so intimidating and imposing that he's wormed his way into the very hearts of the cast itself, pales in comparison to this grander universe and the Master of Masters that seems to be spearheading it. There's something so much bigger out there, and KH4 seems to be the major entry into it all. That being said, with so many past games focusing on Xehanort, it's honestly weird having this new game, supposedly anyway, steer away from him. Xehanort as a villain always managed to persist into the game's universe. He remained a constant threat, someone whose extensive foresight always made Sora and his companions feel one step behind. In a way, seeing Xehanort finally come to terms with losing to Sora and moving on with his friend Ericus, I've had a lot of mixed feelings as the years beyond KH3 have stacked in number. This figure has been so omnipresent, so tightly tied to the Kingdom Hearts lore, that it's incredibly difficult to envision a Kingdom Hearts game without him ominously sitting in the background, carefully adjusting the scales in his favor. It's going to take some time to clearly see a KH story without Xehanort, but that comes with the territory for any series that's managed to last as long as this one has. It's still to be seen how many old faces will stick around in Kingdom Hearts 4. While it's to be expected that Goofy and Donald will continue their search for Sora, and we're bound to see several Disney-related characters make reappearances, whether the organization alumni like Lee and Isa will have key roles in this new arc is something I'm admittedly curious about. Kingdom Hearts 3 did craft its last few acts with plenty of perceived decisiveness, but knowing how unpredictable the storylines have been known to be, it wouldn't be that strange to see some familiar faces continue to drive the narrative's emotive bits. This whole universe is malleable and surprising, so for all we know, we might be saying hello immediately after saying goodbye. You never know. Regardless, Kingdom Hearts 4 really is in an important spot right now. I expect a lot of judgment to be cast against whatever directions this game takes, but we should all keep in mind that this is the closest to a franchise reboot that we've seen thus far. Sure, this is a sequel, a continuation of what came before, but this opportunity to branch out isn't just going to shine a light on the familiar. More importantly, this is a chance for Nomura and team to really catch us off guard and smash expectations. I think we should all expect some changes with this one.
To be honest, I was initially quite taken aback by the direction it seems to be taking. A more realistic world, potentially with more adult themes and messages. It certainly spelt out a radically different approach for the series going forward, and I confess to not fully being ready to embrace that approach. I watched that trailer many times before fully coming to terms with and accepting the shift in tone and style. I'd probably be a hypocrite for not liking the fact that Kingdom Hearts was once again doing something different.
You don't have to be a hardcore Kingdom Hearts fan to see that it's no stranger to mixing things up. Whether it's the gameplay mechanics or the selection of worlds, this series turns on a dime like nobody's business. And in a period of time where the slate is being wiped clean and a new arc is going to be the focus, it makes a lot of sense to really take some chances. The locale of Quadratum definitely emits a naturalistic vibe, something that Kingdom Hearts has dabbled in a bit in the past, but never to this extent. It's not just the photorealistic faces or the lack of big shoes. This entire vibe is noticeably different, the kind of striking shift that's kept fans thinking well past that first big trailer drop. Quadratum itself reflects a journey to, as Nomura himself has stated, the actual real world. Beyond the photorealistic graphics, what this means exactly is still being kept under wraps, and for good reason, I'd say. The very idea of the real world has many interpretations. Is Sora going to his own version of a Shibuya-inspired city? Or could this be something more meta? Could this actually be our real world? Like I said, it's hard to say, but I wouldn't put it past Nomura to play around with the ties that connect these different worlds. And with Sora's awakening in Quadratum, it doesn't take long for Heartless to appear and kick things into action. Kingdom Hearts gameplay has been a widely praised piece of appeal for the series, but something to keep in mind is that Kingdom Hearts has always been a bit indecisive across the games on that front. While Kingdom Hearts 1 balanced its puzzles and exploration with its combat system, it definitely had its share of awkwardness in its controls and pacing, especially as the first installment of a new series. Kingdom Hearts 2 might have limited its environmental variety in comparison, but it made up for that with a refined technical combat system that was an absolute joy to interact with from every angle. To this day, it's regarded by many fans as the peak gameplay skeleton of the series, a spectacular mix of finesse and style that, unfortunately, I don't think was successfully iterated upon moving forward. Between Kingdom Hearts 2 and 3, there was a sort of irritability to stand still, as games like Birth by Sleep and Dream Drop Distance added new elements and twists that never fully gelled with KH2's masterful combat design. There was always a detour, some extraneous addition that brought another layer of complexity to the gameplay, but at the cost of coherence. Kingdom Hearts got experimental during this period, which in its own way is admirable, though when your mechanics reach such a high peak just a few games into the series' lifespan, it's kind of weird that you wouldn't want to leave well enough alone. Through all of the confusion and indecisiveness of what makes sense for Kingdom Hearts gameplay, the right spot was eventually reached. All things considered, Kingdom Hearts 3 was the closest we got to KH2 levels of gameplay polish. There weren't many distractions in Kingdom Hearts 3's core combat, leading to an easy-to-learn battle system that just needed a bit more bite to make those challenges really sting. With the Remind DLC though, the dimension and challenge that was missing from many encounters seen in the base KH3 experience felt alive and well. I know many people who were dissatisfied with KH3's difficulty got a lot out of the Remind DLC's data fights. In its own way, KH3 took those years of indecisive experimentalism and condensed them into something much easier to wrap your head around. For lack of a better phrasing, it felt simple and clean. With Kingdom Hearts 4, we're still waiting on how exactly this game's combat will function, though I think it's a safe enough bet to assume that something will change. Sure, the numbered games seem to feel straight ahead, but we've seen a ton of spin-offs and semi-sequels do their own thing on a mechanical and systemic level. Nomura himself has stated that every time it's the same process, and he's constantly thinking of what to improve or change in the next title. As I mentioned earlier, Kingdom Hearts is a series that is always looking forward, and while there is the risk of moving away from a perfected formula for the sake of evolution, I expect the team behind this to understand the big picture, that there are parts of this game's design that are tied very closely to its mechanical and systemic identity. There are some components that simply make Kingdom Hearts, Kingdom Hearts.
I've been reflecting on my feelings towards the series as a whole, how I've grown up with it, how it's grown with me. I've been thinking about how it inherits aesthetics from Disney, yes, but also themes from Final Fantasy, how it handles existentialism and questions of identity and memory. How might it comment on all this through this new narrative angle they're going with? What does Kingdom Hearts, child of Disney and Square Enix, tell us about our relationships with stories?
Kingdom Hearts 4 is a big turning point for this franchise, cracking open a whole new arc. One whose ambition seems leagues beyond what we've seen from the series so far is a daunting task for all involved, but I'm sure it'll stand tall and fulfill whatever goals it aims for. Sora's story, as transcendent and everlasting as it's become, still rings loudly in the hearts of fans. Even as his seemingly perpetual struggle to find his way home continues, we all root for him to succeed. We want him to return home to the people who care for him, because even as the stakes rise higher and higher, this is still a very humble tale about a boy who realized that his small island was part of a bigger universe, one with endless worlds to discover and explore. He's driven away from his life he once knew, forced to face the colossal entities that robbed him and his companions of their security and peace. At its core, Kingdom Hearts is a personal story, one whose enormous backdrop of infinite distant worlds is a deceptive veil. It's always been about Sora and the people he cares about. No amount of giant heartless airships or gravity-defying Keyblade duels can overtake that personal vibe, even if that stuff is still pretty damn cool to see. As you can guess, this video isn't just about Kingdom Hearts 4. It's really a way to condense my thoughts on what this series truly means to me, and even with everything I've said so far, I still don't have a clear answer. This is a pretty mystifying franchise, one that carries a lot of weight behind its messages, but does so with this strange combination of relaxed charm and stalwart heroism. It's a story that, if you give it a chance, you'll find a lot to love, and that care is likely what's given its fans so many persistent reasons to stick with it. Its uplifting vibes are rampantly contagious, something that a lot of games, even today, tend to ignore or misread. Even in its darkest moments, there's always a glimmer of light that's shining through. It's still going to be a while before Sora's next big journey is fully in our hands to play, but I think using this extensive time to reflect on this series has sparked some real excitement for what's on the way. It's clear that Kingdom Hearts 4 doesn't share the anticipation of Kingdom Hearts 2 or even 3. No game in this series will reach the heights of excitement of its predecessors, it just won't happen. But like Sora, we've all grown older since our edgy otaku days of the early 2000s, and it really does seem like we're all a bit more patient nowadays. Maybe that patience is why KH4's foreshadowing is being treated more tepidly. Sora's growing up, and we're growing up alongside him, just as we always have. But just because we're adults doesn't mean we should ignore the transformative power of the stories we've experienced in our younger years. All those lessons, they don't vanish easily. And that's this series' real strength and why so many people still cling to its messages so tightly. Because Kingdom Hearts is one of my favorite series ever, and I'm still excitedly anticipating whatever we see next.